according to the Islamic teaching, you cannot execute a virgin girl. So what they do, they rape them. They call it, or temporary marriages. That is what it happened to my 16-year-old friend. And then they executed her.
Ellie Davidian was horrified by such things as a teenager in Iran. Hers was a devout Muslim culture.
Give me an idea of what the daily rituals were when you were a child.
Well, you have to get up so early in the morning, basically before sunrise, to perform the 5 times prayer that you start in the morning, and then you have noontime and the evening. Ritual makes you to feel like you gradually become a righteous person. Because personally I was thinking I didn't commit any immoralities. I did all the good works based on a young woman growing up in that country, trying to avoid sexual immoralities, alcohol, and everything.
When you became a teenager, you began to really question all of these things.
Well, I wanted to know more about what I was worshiping or whom I was worshiping and all these rituals. I was born near the border of Iran and Iraq. So during the war of Iran and Iraq, I saw so many dead people, layers of bodies one after another. I felt so I was betrayed by this God, because I was thinking, if there is a God, then why he is allowing all these things happening?
Ellie couldn't find answers anywhere, so she began to secretly deny Allah in her heart.
In Iran, after the revolution, we have to cover ourselves with dark, long, chadors, long covering. And of course, in Islamic ritual, when they prepare the bodies to bury them, they have to cover them in a white, sheets. And then you see blood everywhere. To me, that was the 3 colors basically that I was seeing in Iran: black, white, and red.
For example, Ellie says that thousands of Iranian children were used to sweep minefields and then told they'd be martyrs for the cause of Allah.
There was a hatred growing inside of me against the Iranian government, against Islam, but still I have that fear to go to hell.
Ellie's parents wanted to help her, so they sent her away from the horrors of war.
And they thought I'm going to lose my mind. I was putting all dark dresses. That's a sign of mourning inside of me. There was no joy inside of me. There was nothing, no life.
And they sent you to France.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, as I said before, it was like all colorful, and I was seeing at least freedom. But one thing brought to my attention was the churches in France. I was sensing some type of peace. I cannot explain it, at that time. So I was just sitting in front of the statues of, Jesus, lighting the candles in front of statues of Mary, and I was asking this God, whom I called Allah, what do you want to do with my life?
So you're in the Catholic Church in front of a statue of Jesus, talking to Allah.
And questioning him, what do you want to do with my life? What is the purpose?
Ellie came to America to finish college. There she saw a campus poster for the Jesus film. It was in her native language, Farsi, so she decided to see it.
Wow, I said, these people really changed their Bible because whatever I was watching through Jesus' movie contradicted with the teaching of Islam about Jesus. So into my mind, I said, there has to be something wrong. Somebody has to lie.
Ellie had been taught to deny the deity of Jesus Christ. In fact, she had been taught that it was Judas who died on the cross, not Jesus.
Judas was a bad boy, so out of God's miracle, make Judas look like Jesus.
So Judas died on the cross?
Yes, according to teaching that I received in Iran as a Shiite Muslim. So basically Christians are redeemed by the blood of Judas. So there is no atonement, there is no redemption. These are just revolutionary terms when you are talking to a Muslim. That's why they don't have any experience of God's grace.
Then Ellie met some Iranian Christians and started to make a connection. She asked God to show her the truth, and that night she had a dream.
And I woke up, even though he didn't say, I am Jesus. He talked to me in English, which was later on, I said, well, I knew it was not Muhammad. And he said, just believe in me. Why you have so much doubt in me? And believe in me. And inside of me, I knew he was Jesus. And for the first time, I was able to see through the veil the reality of Jesus.
Ellie's family didn't see it that way.
I was the firstborn in my family, and you're supposed to set an example for the rest of your brothers and sisters.
They all sensed Ellie's newfound peace. But Islam required that her family disown her.
And is there any curiosity on their part to know about this Jesus that has brought you real peace?
Well, for the first time after 14 years, I met them a few months ago in Istanbul, Turkey, and they were able to hear the word, the gospel, the truth.
And how did they respond?
They were very quiet. Of course, I think it's sometimes hard to receive from your children, especially in Middle Eastern culture. That was the first time they met my husband too, so I led them to establish the relationship, and we tried to just be a living word to them, because that is what the Muslim observe mostly, to see how you act, how you talk, and because you don't want to win their heads, but you want to win their hearts.
Some people would argue today that God and Allah are the same. How do you respond to that?
Well, it absolutely can be, because God cannot deny himself our impurities for our sicknesses and disease. He was crucified. He was the perfect sacrifice. Versus in Islam, they deny the deity and lordship of Jesus Christ. So how come God can deny himself?
Ellie and her husband Surik are committed to reaching Muslims with the truth. They use conferences, their website, and even TV to get their message to those who will listen.
I know there are lots of Muslims, they are trying to please a God who cannot even if hear them or listens to them. I'm not talking about a dead God, I'm not talking about a distant God. I am talking about a God who is alive, who is able to hear the deep down cries of our hearts and listen to us and say, "Hear my son, hear my daughter, come to me." His arms is so large, open with love to receive all of them and fill their hearts with grace, with peace, with joy.